Question number 1, Kanwaljit Singh Bakshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my question is to the Minister of Finance.
Order. I apologise. Can we just have a little less interjection so we can hear the question that's being asked? Question number 1, Kanwaljit Singh Bakshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and my question is to the Minister of Finance and asks, what upcoming announcements will the government deliver on the economic and fiscal outlook?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, the Treasury will update its fiscal and economic outlook as part of the half-year economic and fiscal update next week on the 15th of December. A lot has changed since May when the forecasts were last done, with growth a bit lower than expected in the first half of 2015, lower commodity prices, lower interest rates, lower inflation and a lower exchange rate. While there are some risks to the economic outlook, recent lifts in business and consumer confidence, including in the rural sector, along with further growth in manufacturing and servicing sectors, support an outlook for moderate growth of 2 to 2.5% over the next few years.
Very good. Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Kanwaljit Singh Bakshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I ask the Minister, what reports has the Minister received confirming the government is continuing to control its spending, and how is this reflected in government's financial statements?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, financial reporting covering short periods of time can give fluctuating results. But the government accounts issued today for the first 4 months of the financial year to October show that the operating balance is around $690 million better than expected back in the budget. The residual cash position is around $900 million better than forecast. Spending has fallen from 35% of our GDP 4 years ago to around 30% this year, while at the same time we're getting better public services, which goes to show the benefits of being thoughtful when spending has to be restrained.
Supplementary question, David Seymour.
Is the Minister looking forward to receiving the next long-term fiscal outlook from the Treasury?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure if my enthusiasm for it matches theirs, because I always think that long-term economic forecasting is somewhat speculative. Treasury almost always paint a picture that we're going to hell in the handbasket and the politicians better do something about it.
Supplementary question, Kanwaljit Singh Bakshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What is the outlook for continuing jobs and wages growth for New Zealand families over the next 5 years?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, in the short term, pretty good. New Zealand has among the highest labour market participation rate and highest unemployment rates in the OECD, a sign the labour market is performing pretty well. Outcomes for young people are strong, with the rate of 15 to 19-year-olds who are not in employment, education or training at its lowest level ever recorded. Wages are up 3.1%, well ahead of inflation of 0.4%.
Order. Supplementary question, Kanwaljit Singh Bakshi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What are some of the consequences of low inflation, including for the spending power of New Zealand households?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, for households, price stability is generally welcome, as it means spending power, more spending power from their take-home pay, with inflation currently at 0.4% and wage increases of up to 2 to 3%. However, lower inflation means less tax revenue, and that does put pressure on the government's finances.
Supplementary question, David Seymour.
Will the Minister cancel the Treasury's program of producing long-term fiscal outlooks in light of his answer that they are merely speculative?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, no. In fact, they're a statutory obligation of the Treasury, but they do give an indication of where government would end up if it stays on its current track. And I'm pleased to say that long-term forecasts based on this government's current track look reasonably manageable. Long-term forecasts based on the track that the previous Labor government was on look completely out of control.
Question number 2.